Hey everybody, glad you're with us today. Ashley Page here. Our topic for today is the importance of an independent Federal Reserve. The reason that we brought this topic up with you today is really over the next 2 or 3 weeks. You're going to see probably a lot more effort on the part of the administration to have discussions with the Fed, somewhat interject some politics into the Federal Reserve. We've already seen that some with some of the criticism that has come in the recent volatility of markets. But why do we want an independent Federal Reserve? The bottom line of it is, in the way that we manage our economy in the United States and try to do it effectively, if you remember, we have 2 ways primarily we do that. One is fiscal policy. That already has a large political component because that is what governments at the federal level, state and local level do to spend money on items like infrastructure, federal programs, state programs, what have you. So in the management of our economy, what government oftentimes will try to do is spend money into the economy politically to get it going. That's fiscal policy. That's already strongly politicized anyway by its nature. The second part where we try to manage our economy is monetary policy. That's the Federal Reserve, what we do with interest rates and cost of capital. The reason that we need an independent Federal Reserve is that you need to have part of the overall management of the American economy non-politicized and data-driven. So there'll be a lot of concern coming up over the next 2 or 3 weeks about sort of the political and the Federal Reserve coming together. We wanted to let you know that this has happened before. There are 2 primary historical examples that we can give you where a President of the United States has really tried to enter the fray with what the Federal Reserve feels like is the best way to go on interest rates. One was in the Truman administration. Harry Truman in 1951 actually had a meeting at the White House with all of the members of the FOMC, which is the governing body of the Fed, trying to keep interest rates low coming out of the back of the Korean War to spur the domestic economy. He had all of the governors over to the White House, came out of that with a meeting saying they had agreed to that. There were minutes released later than the meeting by one of the Fed governors to say that that actually wasn't accurate. The point is, though, it caused some financial upheaval when even a very honorable president like Harry S. Truman tried to get into the fray. That was the first one. The most meaningful economic impact with a president trying to sort of enter themselves and somewhat tell a Federal Reserve board chair what to do was just prior to the 1972 election when Richard Nixon was attempting to be reelected, which of course ultimately happened. The Federal Reserve chairman then was Arthur Burns, and the president went in and encouraged Chairman Burns to keep interest rates low, even though there was a lot of price pressure in the economy. Why? Because it was a valuable part of Nixon being reelected. What we saw after the election, though, is because there was already a lot of price pressure in the system, that the Federal Reserve, that's a mandate trying to control inflation, because it was artificially kept down after the election was over, interest rates went up to about 12%. So the overwhelming point we want to make to you today is that you need an independent Federal Reserve that is very data-driven on the economy to work in companion with fiscal policy, which is already politicized. The reason that we're seeing more of that really over the last 10 years, if you may remember, we did a educational vlog about 6 months ago about the lasting impacts of the 2008 financial crisis. One of the points we mentioned in that vlog was a more involved Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve became much more involved in the economy with quantitative easing post-2008 because they had to. So there's a lot more focus on the Fed. But it's our contention that you still need a good Federal Reserve that's independent as opposed to fiscal policy that is politically charged. So we hope this is helpful to you. If you have any other questions about that, feel free to call us. We just wanted to let you know that this is not the first time we've seen this, but there's a strong history of the Federal Reserve of the United States being independent, as it should be.